So consumer surplus equals all this area subtracting this area. So it's the integral from 0 to a from d of x dx minus the area a times b. This is it. And this will have a dollar sign to it. So I'm paying $20, but actually I'm getting this in money terms that I enjoy without paying for. So we're going to look at that in just.
I have a question.
Yes.
But like, what is that in reality?
Money terms that we, in money terms, is something that we didn't pay for, but we will enjoy.
So it's not actual money?
It's not actual money. We normally should have paid for it, but we are enjoying it without paying for it. It's the so-called surplus.
We're enjoying the...
We are enjoying it because we are not paying for it, but we have it.
What are we enjoying?
So very good question. So this surplus is something that we get added by, for example, if we buy more units, we are paying less money. So we are getting for 10 units, we're paying 20. For 3 units, I will pay more. And the surplus will be smaller. It's something called utility. Something is, we're getting something extra that we are not paying for by buying more units.
Okay.
But there is a surplus everywhere we are. Even if we buy 2 units or 1 unit, we still have a little bit extra that we are not paying for it. And as we increase the number of units, we are getting more and more extra that we are not paying for it. And that is translated into that area.
What do you mean by the supply are losing money?
We have not discussed about the supply. That's my next step.
Okay.
We haven't discussed that. Just one moment. We only talked about the consumer surplus and the formula. So now let's take a look at producer surplus. So the producer surplus, let's say this is the supply function, S of x. This is still number of units, x. And this is still S of x in this case. It's still price per unit, the same thing, everything the same. Okay, so let's say, of course, they want to supply very little, right? So when the price is low, they want to supply this number of units, okay? But as price increases, they want to supply more. But we can't afford to buy more, but that's a different story. So for any point on the supply function, here's our A, here's our B, this is what they get, right? So this is the area of receipts, for example. This is what they get in money terms from us. And this is the so-called producer surplus. They also get something extra. Producer surplus. So they're selling us this. This is what we pay. But actually, the area that we should pay is a little bit less. This is what we should be paying, but we are paying this. So they enjoy something more than they are giving us. So that's the producer surplus. And how do I determine this? Very easily. A times B now minus the area under the supply function, the integral from 0 to A from S of x dx. So to determine this for the consumer surplus, we have to subtract from the area the rectangle. But here, from the area of the rectangle, we have to subtract what they get from us, and they get an extra. That's their extra. We should be paying just this, but we are paying this. And they
Quick
get,
question,
yes?
Professor Deep. How can buyer and seller both have surplus at the same time?
Yes, they both have surplus at the same time. Sometimes a surplus can be negative, right? But I shouldn't say that. It cannot be negative. It's always a quantity. It can be very small, but not negative. Sorry about that. So there is always something extra. So now let's look at the equilibrium point and see what happens. So let's say this is, now I'm putting both together. So this is the demand, and this is the supply function, and this is what we call the equilibrium point. We talked about it a long time ago. And here's what happens. This is what we pay. Here is the consumer surplus. And here is the producer surplus. It's always there. So let's, I know we only have, I don't want to hold you, we only have 1 minute left, but let me just show you an example. We're not going to do anything, I promise. I will not hold you over. So which page I want 480? That's all I had to say about this section, but we have a lot of work we have to practice. I changed to 480, but it didn't do it. I thought I did change to 480. So here we have a demand function. This is what I thought we would have time to, but it's okay. We're going to do it next Tuesday. So we have the demand function. We have the supply function. We are asked to find the equilibrium point and directly the surplus for both. Equilibrium point, demand, consumer surplus, and producer surplus. Okay, I didn't get the chance to show you an example, but this is always the case. Okay, so this piece here, the red one, is the producer surplus, always, and it can be very tiny. It can be in the cents, and this is the producer surplus. I meant consumer. So consumer surplus in blue, and in red, this piece is the producer surplus. And the formula is the same, pretty much. This is at the top, so it's the area minus the rectangle. But this one is inside the rectangle, so it will be the area of the rectangle minus the area under the supply function. Very easy to remember if you understand this picture. And this is number of units, and this is the price per unit. And this is the equilibrium point. So we're going to have examples of this kind, of all these types on Tuesday.